8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité, top.
And we have engine start. And liftoff.
Décollage.
Décollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
So that was a rocket taking the Webb telescope into space recently as a replacement for the amazing Hubble telescope. Talk about the way, Vanessa, the various space agencies have come together to support that project, as well as many others. And what's the importance of what the Webb telescope will be able to do?
You know, so Cambril, as I talked about, you know, what we're doing going forward to the moon again with our international community, same thing with James Webb. It was a collaboration bringing together European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, along with NASA and our industry partners to build this great observatory. And it is built and is being tested. You know, the intent is that Hubble, as great and wonderful as the images are, we won't be able to continue to get that. And so Webb was the follow-on, but with the capability of looking further back in time. Here at the Johnson Space Center, whereas we focus on human exploration, but Webb is what allows us to think further. And so right now, as we're planning to go to Moon and to Mars, Webb will lead the way for us to think about going much, much further as we can do that and explore, but also to help us to look back in time. And, you know, so right now I'm thinking about, you know, looking back in time, and here, the Johnson Space Center right now today, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. And we have been here in Houston. Houston was the first word spoken from the moon. And so we intend to carry that forward as we continue with our exploration. But it inspires us and will allow us to very soon, some of the images are coming back from Webb today in a test category, and eventually over the summer all of the alignments should be complete and we'll see the real images that the Webb Space Telescope will bring to us.
You mentioned the 60th anniversary at Johnson. Now, when we think of Johnson Space Center, we think of the main campus there, but there's much more. You got thousands of employees, a budget of billions of dollars, programs from the International Space Station to the Orion crew vehicle, human research, commercial cargo, advanced exploration, all of that. And so how do we all benefit, do you think? There's a lot of things that we may benefit from, but we don't even know about the many things we benefit from.
Right. Well, you know, the graphic that you had, and it had from the Texas Comptroller Office, because the Texas Comptroller did come and do a economic impact for us. And so, like as you mentioned, we bring in from the government. I manage a budget of over $6 billion, but from that, it's about in Texas about 40,000 jobs. And then if you look at the impact of not only this center is responsible for jobs here in Houston, but also in New Mexico, and we have a small component in El Paso as well. But we also benefit from technology as well as from the jobs. And you know, when I talk about to students and they say, you know, well, what am I benefiting? There are so many things that are impacting. For example, if you look at water scarcity in Africa and other places, we are doing what we call regeneration of water on board the International Space Station to prove that you can recycle wastewater and purify it to be able to use it again. And so that's just one example. The International Space Station has sensors on it that allows us not only to look at changes that are happening to resources in our country and in our environment, but when we have hurricanes, we're able to provide data to the recovery services so that they can go and search and look in certain areas. Just a multitude of experiments go on every day, from what we call material sciences, technologies, life sciences. Right here in Houston, we have a relationship with the medical center where they're setting up research looking at ways of being able to treat cancer, just a multitude of activities that go on each and every day.
And so you talk about the International Space Station. I want to ask you something about that partnership. It's worked through the years, clearly, but right now it's kind of like a ticklish situation. Russians are actively attacking Ukraine right now, but you also have Russian cosmonauts on the space station with American astronauts in space. Clearly, it's a situation that could be challenging. We depended on the Soyuz to get astronauts to the ISS, etc. Any concerns? What's going on? Have you heard anything about any conflicts or any kind of tension that might be there now as a result of what's happening in Ukraine?
Yeah, so, Cambrell, the relationship that we've had with the Russians, with the International Space Station, goes back many years because the International Space Station, we've had our astronauts and cosmonauts on board for over 21 years. And so it is so important for us to be able to collaborate and work together. And from the astronauts and the cosmonauts, as a matter of fact, we had some here for training, and I reached out to them to let them know that, we understand that there are conflicts that are going on, but we have to continue to be partners in order for us to keep the space station going. And so when they're working together, there are no conflicts. You will often hear astronauts talk about, the view from space, that you don't see borders. We're just all one country. And so right now, they're all working together. By the time this airs, we will have launched some more Russian cosmonauts to the International Space Station. Eventually, we're going to be returning our astronaut and 2 cosmonauts to Kazakhstan, which is an area where the Russians actually do the launch and landings, and we'll bring Mark Vande Hei back to the United States. But that collaboration has been ongoing, and we've had we're continuing what we would like to term as safe and professional operations on board the International Space Station.
And so up to this point, you have not seen any chinks in the armor of that collaboration at this point, correct?
Yeah,
okay.
no concerns.
Good
no
deal.
concerns.